Okay, so you've been reading a ton about AI lately, and it's kind of like everyone's promising us the moon, right? Like one minute it's flying cars and then end all our problems, and the next it's like, are robots going to steal my job? Today we're diving into all of that. We're taking a deep dive into Sam Altman's predictions about AI. We've got his blog post right here, and some, let's just say, skeptical takes from our friends over at Hacker News. And it's a lot. Altman does not hold back. He is really gung-ho about this intelligence age he keeps talking about. He says it's just around the corner. Like AI is going to solve all of humanity's biggest problems, climate change, you name it. He even says we're all going to have our own AI dream teams. Like imagine having a whole crew of AI assistants just waiting to help you with anything. Sounds kind of amazing, right? But then you've got the folks on Hacker News. They're saying this whole AI thing is like the emperor's new clothes, which, ouch. So where do we even begin with all of this?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix of excitement and I think some very valid skepticism. And you're not the only one feeling that way. I mean, Altman, he's the CEO of OpenAI, right? They're kind of a big deal in the AI world. So when he talks, people listen. But it's important to remember, OpenAI is just one piece of a much bigger and really complex puzzle. So yeah, his optimism is contagious. But we got to look at this from all angles, right?
So we can't just take his word for it, even if it does sound pretty tempting. So let's talk about those hard problems he's so sure AI can solve.
Right, and he specifically mentions climate change in that India Today interview. I mean, imagine if AI could help us really understand climate patterns, like with incredible accuracy, or even help us come up with completely new forms of clean energy. That's the kind of optimistic scenario Altman is sketching out. But then think about this. What if, instead of solving these big global problems, AI is mainly used for, targeting ads or figuring out the absolute fastest way to deliver your online shopping order. It's like having this incredibly powerful tool, but using it for kind of, less inspiring purposes.
Wow, so it's like it's not just about what AI can do, it's about who's actually using it and what they're using it for. Like having a supersonic jet, but only using it to deliver pizza.
Exactly. And that leads to a really interesting question. What are the hard problems in your own life that you could see AI actually making a difference in? Is it something huge like climate change? Or something closer to home? The possibilities are huge. And it's fascinating to think about how this tech could reshape our everyday experiences.
Totally. And speaking of possibilities, let's talk about those AI dream teams Altman keeps bringing up. Like he makes it sound like we're all going to have our own crew of digital geniuses ready to jump in and help with whatever we need. I don't know about you, but I'm already making a list.
Right. It's a pretty seductive idea, having access to like instant expertise in any field. Need help writing a symphony? Boom. AI composer at your service. Want to design a self-watering garden? No problem. Your AI landscape architect is on it. But when you start to think about it, things get a little complicated.
Yeah, for sure. Like who actually gets to have these AI experts? And are they really experts? Or are they just really good at, sounding like experts?
You're hitting on a key point there. Altman's vision depends on everyone having access to these AI teams. But how realistic is that really? Will this be something everyone can use? Or is it just going to benefit people who are already privileged? And then there's the whole question of control. Like, who decides what these AI assistants can and can't do? Who's responsible if they make a mistake? Or if they give you biased information?
Like, I'd love an AI chef who could cook anything. But I'd also want to make sure they weren't just making the same 5 dishes over and over again. Because some algorithm thinks that's all I like.
Exactly. And even if we ignore those concerns about access and control for a second, there's another layer to this whole thing. Something our skeptical friend on Hacker News might point out.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the Hacker News take on this?
Well, think about it this way. Altman's whole intelligence age thing, it's based on the idea that more intelligence, or at least more access to information, automatically makes the world a better place. But is that always true?
That's a good question. I mean, I know I've definitely felt overwhelmed by information before. Like, too many choices,
Exactly. And sometimes, even if the information is accurate, it can be more confusing than helpful. It's like that saying, knowing so much that you know nothing. I think that emperor's new clothes comparison, it suggests that maybe we're so caught up in the excitement about AI that we're not really thinking critically about whether it can actually solve the problems that really matter.
So it's not just about AI being smart, it's about it being wise, which feels like a whole other thing.
Exactly. And that actually brings up another really important part of this whole discussion, one that often gets overshadowed by all the hype about AI's potential, its impact on jobs. Even Altman admits that this is going to be huge. He compares it to the way electricity replaced lamplighters.
It's kind of like we don't have lamplighters anymore. But we do have, like, electricians and electrical engineers and people who make apps that can turn your lights on and off from your phone. So maybe it's not just about jobs disappearing. Maybe it's about new jobs being created that we can't even imagine yet.
Right. And if we look back at history and try to think ahead a little, the question becomes less about, will a robot steal my job? And more about what kind of amazing new jobs will AI make possible? I mean, think about it. The internet was once this niche thing that only a few people used, and now look at it. It's created countless jobs in entire industries.
That's true. I remember when my grandma got her first email address. It was a huge deal. And now here we are, having a whole conversation about AI on the internet.
Exactly. So instead of worrying about robots taking our jobs, maybe we should be asking ourselves, what skills will be valuable in a world powered by AI? How can I adapt and learn and thrive in this new landscape?
Yeah, it's like learning a new language. It might seem scary at first, but it can open up so many doors.
I love that analogy, and it highlights something really important about Altman's vision. He's incredibly optimistic about the future, like almost utopian. He ends his blog post by saying, "The future is too bright to even imagine," which, okay, I get it. Enthusiasm is great, but it also feels a little, I don't know, simplistic.
Yeah, like a bright future sounds great and all, but how do we actually get there? It's easy to say AI will solve everything, but what about the potential downsides, the unintended consequences?
And that's where a little bit of skepticism can be really helpful. To be fair to Altman, he does touch on this, if only briefly. He warns that if we don't build the infrastructure to support AI, if we're not careful about how we develop it and share it, it could become a very limited resource that wars get fought over.
Oh, wow. Okay, things just got real. So AI isn't just a tool for good. It could actually become a weapon.
It's a possibility, and it highlights why it's so important to be having these conversations now, while AI is still in its early stages. Because it's not just about the technology itself. It's about how we choose to use it and how we make sure its benefits are available to everyone.
So this isn't just something for the tech people to figure out. This is on all of us. We all need to be informed and engaged.
I completely agree. The future of AI isn't predetermined. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the questions we ask, the conversations we have. So keep learning, keep asking those tough questions, and keep the conversation going. The future of AI is in our hands.
That's all for this deep dive. We'll be back next week with another look at the world of AI. Until then, keep learning and keep those questions coming.